Welcome to ZBTR TV.
The goal is to unearth and document the Zambian narrative in the best way possible.
Catch us live every Saturday on Facebook and YouTube.
We broadcast every Saturday at 10 a.m. EST, 7 a.m. PT.
With a growing audience across the globe, we connect Zambians and share resources abroad.
Be part of our journey. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
With a growing audience across the globe, we connect Zambians and share resources abroad.
The ZBTR TV show.
Did you know? Less than 10% of our viewers are subscribed. Don't miss out. Be part of the community. Mark your calendars. Every Saturday, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time and 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Flow live.
Welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody, and happy Saturday. It is July 25th. July the 25th. Time is really flying. Welcome to ZBTR TV, and we do hope that you're having a wonderful weekend. Tell a friend that ZBTR is live, and remember what we said last weekend. We are now on a cruise control until election time. We'll just be hosting our colleagues or people in political who are in the campaign. Today we have one of the presidential candidates. I'm even amazed that he's able to be here and do this, because these people, the schedules for campaign are crazy busy, and we're just honored to be here. Do not forget to subscribe to our show, please. We are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, and we are also on YouTube. Just as I've put it there, ZBTR TV. That's the only way you're not going to miss any episode. Please subscribe so that when we go live, it will notify you that the show has gone live. All right. We are exactly 20 days from election day, when the Zambian citizens will cast that crucial ballot to decide who their councillor is going to be, who their mayor is going to be, who their member of parliament is going to be, and who the president and their running mate is going to manage and govern the nation for the next 5 years. Today, we are honored and privileged to have one of the presidential candidates. Like I said before, I don't even know how this gentleman is sitting in front of me. I am greatly honored, Dr. Mushimba, for you to be here. Dr. Mushimba, I like this phrase on his website, all right? From Kankoyo to State House, a mission, not a campaign. All right, Brian Mushimba is a graduate of the University of Arizona with a Bachelor of Science and a Master of Science from Pittsburgh State University, and he holds an MBA from Salem University. Where's Salem University?
It's in West Virginia.
Oh, West Virginia. Oh, Salem. The
Yes.
name Salem should have rang
Yes,
a word.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Salem University with an MBA, and he also holds a PhD in environmental science from the University of Zambia. Married to his wife for 29 years, and they have 2 grown sons. Dr. Brian Mushimba is the party president of the Organized People's Party. Welcome to the show, sir. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, and good afternoon, listeners and viewers. I look forward to this engagement today.
Yes, sir. So let me begin with the campaign itself, because I know there was a lot of talk, a lot of disenfranchising. Some people felt like some things were not okay. In simple terms, my first question to you is the campaign timetable working?
No, it's not. Initially, I thought it was working. I thought it was an innovative idea. But now that it's being implemented, and we're seeing its impact on our campaigns, and you realize how a campaign has to be dynamic, and that dynamism has been taken away. Then when you're supposed to be in one location as per your schedule, then the president crashes and comes in, then they cancel all your activities. No, it's not working.
Really? They cancel your activities?
Yes, they do. We had planned activities in Central Province. Last minute, the president cruises through Central Province. Every permit the police gave us was withdrawn. And then he proceeded to Copper Belt, where we were proceeding. No permit was given for us to do anything on the Copper Belt.
I had this concern, and I said, we had a conversation here, Dr. Mushimba. Yeah. And I said to my guest, I can't remember their name, I said, the concern I had, I'll tell you this, in that meeting you had with ECZ, and by the way, I liked the light moment that you had between you and Miss Luhanga.
Yes.
Where you were teasing
I remember
her. Yeah, where you were teasing her. The concern I had, Dr. Mushimba, about this is the presidential campaign not being included on the timetable. I knew from the beginning that was going to raise issues. That is going to raise issues. So what happens? So when they tell you can't go there, you can't go there. It's done.
You can't. I tried to, based on the schedule and based on everything that we had planned, I tried to do some activities, and you should see, the police are very effective and efficient when they come after you, otherwise, when your house is being broken in the middle of the night and you call them, they'll probably tell you we don't have fuel. But when they want you, the way they came after us and literally detained me and escorted me out of the jurisdiction because they wanted to protect what they were instructed to protect. So it's it's a very challenging situation when the presidential calendar is not known, and then he can just come and essentially overtake your schedule wherever you are. It's not working.
Okay, so you got a police escort in unprecedented. What do you think ECZ should have done differently when you sat as presidential candidates? What did you have in mind? What would you have loved this way to look like?
See, I think for me, having run in an election before where there was no schedules and candidates were allowed to execute their campaign based on whatever criteria and scenarios that their campaigns designed, I found it very strange that we were being called to sit and agree on how to campaign. I found that, strange. But when we sat in that meeting, ECZ said they had allowed candidates without a schedule, and they had lessons from that experience. And they also allowed lower candidates in this election cycle to have some type of schedule. And they also learned lessons from there. So they were carrying those two lessons and bringing them to this room for us to sit and agree on something that would be some type of middle ground. Okay. And essentially what we agreed to, was driven by the fact that they had lessons that they wanted to make sure that we avoid.
Okay.
And from that perspective, we agreed to say, listen, if there are things that that can make our campaigns easier, all of us, we want to listen. And long story short, what we came up with is that schedule that everyone was given. And in so many ways, we didn't think it would be a fast and hard rule type of schedule, that there would be flexibility. And when we left, we thought that would be the case. When we tried to drive through the Copper Belt to Luapula, for example, where our scheduled campaign was, they literally stopped us from driving through the Copper Belt. So there was no flexibility whatsoever.
You were just driving through.
Exactly. The driving through, so we can use, go through Congo, Mokambo, Pedico Road. They ambushed us to say, Dr. Mushimba, you're not supposed to be here. I said, I know I'm not supposed to be here, but I'm going to Luapula. And if you check your geography, this is one of the paths to Luapula. No, you are from Ufulira and you have a lot of supporters here, and look the commotion that you're causing. I said, well, if you probably don't stop me and allow me to go, this commotion not be. You're causing the commotion.
Yes.
So, and then obviously the dynamism of the campaign I spoke about, campaigns, especially speaking specifically to our campaign as the Organized People's Party, or PP, we defined a path to the votes that we want. And that path goes through certain constituencies, certain jurisdictions, and avoids others. Now, with the schedules, we are forced. Like today, I'm supposed to be in Southern Province. We are a brand new political party. We have no structures in Southern Province except in Livingstone.
The president is in Southern Province, right?
Yes, we also scheduled to be in Southern Province, yes. So where he is, even if my calendar says Southern Province, where he is, they will not give me a permit. But the point I'm making is, we as a new political party, knowing that Southern Province is a stronghold of the UPND, we made a strategic decision not to deploy resources there to a certain level, except in Livingstone, where we have a candidate.
Okay.
So now you're forcing me to go to Southern Province, where we have made a political decision, a strategic decision, that as a new party, our votes are not going to come from Southern Province. They are going to come from Copperbelt, from Lusaka, from Northern Circuit. Instead of me now campaigning Northern Circuit, you're forcing me to go to Bwengwa. You're forcing me to go to Choma.
Where
I've not put any money. And I'm not putting any money right now in this election cycle.
Okay.
For reasons that are driven by statistics and data from our war room. Indeed.
Well, your party was able to send delegates or a delegation to monitor the printing of the ballot papers. Were you satisfied with the reports they were giving you, the reports that you were receiving? How did the process? Because I see from media and some media sources, the printing is done. I think the ballot papers are about to come to Zambia. What type of feedback did you get from your delegation?
The feedback was actually positive, that the process was transparent, was above board. Okay. And our representative that we sent there actually comes from this space in terms of quality assurance and authenticity of the ballot and the process, as it were. Okay. So we benefited from the fact that we sent someone who actually knows the questions to ask and what to look for. And when she took them on, in terms of assurances, on quality assurance, in terms of, the things to look for. So we avoid duplicate ballots, for example. We avoid any manner of inappropriateness that may come from that process. I think she asked all the right questions. They answered. They allayed our fears. They put our fears to rest, and we're able to agree that everything was good, and we're ready for the elections.
Okay, excellent. Let's talk about governance issues. One of the concerning issues for citizens and generally most Zambians, as you may be aware, is stripping off their fundamental rights and freedoms. By treating, your manifesto says this, and I quote, by treating all citizens fairly and equitably, regardless of their social, political, or economic status. Okay. How do you plan to restore confidence in the nation to begin to view the police service? We've just been talking about police in the campaign timetable. We need to change this narrative, Dr. Mushimba. Begin to view the police as partners in national development and not otherwise. As they seem to look like they are not there to save the citizens, but the citizens are. Why should we be afraid of our police?
Correct. That's a very important question. And I think the root cause of all this, and the one thing that you know about our campaign as the Organized People's Party is the fact that we're a systems-based campaign and solutions provision. We come from an environment where we want to look at the root cause of all our problems and address our problems permanently through that hard reset that we're speaking about. So when you talk about the issues with the police, the issues with weaponization of laws against divergent views, the issues of people can say one thing and they don't get called upon by the police, but you say something, they call it seditious, they call it hate speech, the cybersecurity laws that have infringed upon the freedoms of the citizens, the Public Order Act, many laws that seem to take away freedoms of citizens versus expanding freedoms. All this has one root cause. The root cause is they all serve the presidency. They are all part of the presidency, and they take instructions from the president. The president in Zambia is too powerful. In fact, let me demonstrate how powerful the presidency is. President plus one forms cabinet. It means president and his best friend in cabinet can run this country of 22 million people, and all decisions are made and are implemented. Democracy cannot be sustained the way we've enshrined it upon ourselves in that manner. We as the OPP, as the only ticket that are saying we have, as a matter of urgency and priority, we have to revisit the constitution and take away those powers out of the presidency, devolve powers out of the presidency, so that those powers go into institutions and you stand those institutions up and you make them transparent and make them independent, including the fight against corruption can't be won when Anti-Corruption Commission is under the president and is funded by the presidents. So it can't investigate ministers. It can't investigate friends of the president. That's why corruption fight in Zambia is a joke. They target people that are not in power or that don't have access to power. You cannot, in all honesty, say we're fighting corruption when only a section of the population is being pursued. So we have to get those institutions out of there. Let them have their own budget lines in budget. Let them report to parliament if they must report to parliament. Assure them with security of tenure so that they are not intimidated or fear anyone. And they can go after the presidency, they can go after people in power, they can go after anyone who is stealing from citizens. So we are proposing as the OPP to recall the constitution specifically to address concerns that citizens want addressed. And this is one of them. We want to devolve powers out of the presidents. The president should be such that even if you had an idiot in that office, the country does not suffer. Today, it's not that.
Would you do you think the way law enforcement officers, Anti-Corruption Commission, Inspector General of Police, the way they are hired should be changed? Should the whole system
totally changed?
Totally changed.
Totally changed. Yes, you cannot. Again, if my appointment and I owe that appointment to this man or that woman, as human nature, my allegiance would be to that person if I want to keep that job. When they call me, I'll answer that call. I served as a cabinet minister under President Edgar Lungu. May he so rest in peace, and I'm glad issues to do with his burial now have been concluded and that man can be put to rest sooner than later. I served as a minister, and that authority is called delegated authority.
Yes.
There's nothing that I did that he didn't sanction or he didn't approve. So if he called me, I answered. I was serving at his pleasure. That is the mistake or the problem that we have, the weaknesses we have in our constitution and how we are governing ourselves. We need to make sure that certain offices, certain constitutional offices are appointed outside the presidents. Assure them security of tenure. Let's have committees. Let's have commissions. Let the hiring process be transparent, depoliticized, and assure them security of tenure so they can carry their jobs without fear or favor.
So you're talking about a process of addressing these things, of course, through what do you call it, a constitution amendment process. Dr. Mushimba, don't you think the Zambians are tired of this issue to do with the constitution?
And rightly so. They must be tired. We dealt with Bill 10 when I was in Parliament, and now Bill 7, that has been, I mean, people, they shoved it down people's throats, whether people like it or not. Bill 7 is there when there was overwhelming rejection of that bill. So yes, people should be tired of the executive that is micromanaging, manipulating the constitution to strengthen their positions. What we are proposing as the OPP is not a manipulation of the constitution. It is taking the constitution back to the people of Zambia like it was before 1969, when it was taken out of the people's hands into parliament by Kenneth Kaunda, and referendum clause essentially it was taken out of the people's hands. Before, when it got independent, the constitution belonged to the people. For you to change it, you have to change it via referendum. And a certain number of people, 85%, if I remember the last number, 85% of eligible people to vote, and these are not only people that can vote in elections. The referendum of the constitution is anyone, I think, who's 16 years and above, can vote in that referendum. And they had to get 85% for any amendment of the constitution. Kenneth Kaunda found that to be very inconveniencing. And he worked with his friends to remove that power from the people and move it to parliament. Parliament of 156 members of parliament, I can manipulate them, I can pay them, and I can amend this document anywhere I want. And that is what has been happening. Bill 7 is an example. So what we are proposing is to tell the people of Zambia to say, the OPP government will, as a matter of priority, give back your constitution. It's a sacred document. Anything that is going to be changed in that document will be driven by you, and it will be consensus, and we'll debate it, and it will be people-driven, including devolving those powers out of the presidents. It's the people that have been asking about that, and it's the people that will create an environment that will start the process to devolve those powers out of the presidents into institutions, make those institutions independent and transparent to serve all of us.
Okay. Without diverting from our conversation, you just highlighted something about late Edgar Lungu's burial thing.
Yes.
They've been. What is the situation? What is the status now?
So the situation is the courts have now ruled. The Supreme Court of South Africa delivered its judgment in favor of the family, that the body belongs to the family, and let the family do what they want to do. So that is the ruling that the courts in South Africa rendered. Zambian government, and I agree with this reasoning, they didn't want to appeal, and they accepted that judgment. So that process has concluded.
So the family, have they intimated what direction they are taking?
No, I don't think the family have spoken since that judgment, but we can speculate where the family's mind is, because I think this has been public domain, that they didn't want the UPND and the current president to superintend or be near this funeral, this burial. And if it means they wait until after elections, if there's change of government, then I think they are within their right to do all that.
Okay. Let's move on to some of the things that everybody watching, I would encourage you. I know we cannot do justice to all the issues, but I did put up Organized People's Party. That's the one Dr. Mushimba is heading. That is the website for the party. And I would encourage you to go to the manifesto. Probably you can all derive your questions. I just picked out some things that stood out to me. And obviously, each one of you watching may have, your own views of what you would like Dr. Mushimba to address. Your manifesto promises 4 million jobs, Dr. Mushimba, 10% annual growth, elimination of extreme poverty within 5 years, free education through university.
Correct.
And first world infrastructure, while also promising to cap borrowing, clear domestic areas, and run a linear government, a smaller government. What will this program cost? Number one, where will the money come from, and which commitments get cut first if revenue falls short?
So elimination of poverty, extreme poverty, I'll start there because that speaks to 4 million jobs. That's 250 billion. That's 250 billion kwacha over 5 years. And I will spend more time to go into this. And someone will say, where are you getting this money from? Our government promises to be a leaner government, promises to eliminate waste out of the existing budget as a priority. Secondly, our government proposes, because we know mining is what we do in Zambia, our foreign earnings, much of them come from the mines. We mine currently $15 billion worth of minerals out of Zambia per year. We are proposing, as the OPP, a creation of a new agency. As a matter of urgency, when we form government, creation of a Minerals Revenue Authority, which will sit on top of every mining house, so we can track, account, and count for every mineral that is being mined out of this country, and what is due to the citizens for the first time be given to the citizens. That process alone, together with elimination of the waste out of all the budgets, we have the money that we need without borrowing to do the initiatives that eliminate extreme poverty under the 4 million jobs that are going to be created in the first 5 years.
Okay. Here's one thing that amazes me about our country. Don't you think in this time and age we are living, Dr. Mushimba, the country needs to look at not just focusing on mining. The world has changed. Shouldn't we just start looking at other areas of, like, you're an engineer by profession, more IT area, things like that? I mean,
it's a good question, and the diversification agenda of our economy and our activities has been with us for a long time. Kenneth Kaunda had go back to the land programs and many other things.
Yes.
For one reason or the other, the commitment by government always wavers, and we find ourselves here. But here's what I will tell you. Mining has been such an integral part of what we do as Zambia. Some of us, it even educated us. So we have a lot of we attach a lot of special meaning to mining. And like I said, the bulk of our foreign reserves come from there. So if we are going to speak about diversification of our economy, we can't do without the seed money from the mines. So we need to get the revenues from the mines so that we can invest in agriculture, we can invest in industrialization, we can invest in ICT, we can invest in modernizing our country and many other things. And then those things will have now a life of their own and increase our economic activities, as it were. And I know we'll get a chance to speak and pack the 4 million job agenda that the OPP proposes. And you can see how getting that Minerals Revenue Authority established to make sure that from the $15 billion per year that is being mined out of Zambia, if we just got what belongs to us, we fund the initiatives we need and then get the economy retooled and reinvigorated, and we'll be happily selling and eliminate extreme poverty within 5 years.
Okay, let's zero in. Since we're here on the mining thing, let's handle this in two ways. Okay, but the 4 million jobs and the Minerals Revenue Authority, because I mean the mines can't generate all the 4 million jobs.
No.
How will this Minerals Revenue Authority function? Its job is to track exports and ensure appropriate taxes are paid by the mining companies, right?
Yes.
And we know, everybody knows, our mining industry is mainly owned by foreign investors.
Correct.
Number one, how is the MRA going to function without scaring away the investors? And how does this look like?
Yes, good question. So on face value, it may be scary because what it means is a recognition of the fact that the mine houses are not paying their fair share of the tax. We made a comparison recently that currently Zambians through pay as you earn are paying 891 million per year into our tax basket.
Yeah.
The mines are paying 277 million. So citizens are actually paying more. And when you look at the tax expenditure report that the Ministry of Finance releases, it's a public document. I looked at it. $2.5 billion over the life of the UPND government's time in office has been given as concession to the mines. Given to the mines. What do you know what that means? It means 2,500 kwacha out of every citizen's pocket being given to the mine owners. And these are rich people. And you're asking my mother in Mtendere to take 2,500 kwacha out of her pocket to give these mine owners. That's what those tax concessions mean. Do you know what we could have done with monies like that? So there's a recognition that the mines are not doing their part. And the Minerals Revenue Authority is going to sit on the mining houses to work with them and account with them and count with them and be honest together and make sure that what belongs to the citizens is being given to the citizens. Through that initiative alone, we envisage revenues that will make investment in agricultural revolution and industrialization that creates the 4 million jobs to take place. So the 4 million jobs are not coming from.
Why has ZRA failed to do this? Where is the problem?
Many reasons. The same reasons why for 62 years since we've been independent and 7 presidents, we still have, not far from where I am, in Kalingalinga, people living without running water, without sewer. A hospital not far from here, people going there and there are no drugs. And a mother giving birth on the roadside without a healthcare facility. And a child tonight going to sleep hungry without food. The same reason, systemic challenges and problems. People have been manipulated, have been compromised. People take short-term decisions that don't benefit citizens. We are proposing as the OPP to end this poverty of leadership, because poverty of leadership breeds poverty in communities. And we see this poverty. Over 60% of us still live in poverty today. We are proposing to change our leadership, reset who we advance to lead us. We will choose the best men and women amongst us, professionals with track records, God-fearing, and put them forward. And they'll be incorruptible, because on top of just their own character and their own track record that will speak to their character, we will give them a strict code of conduct, strict leadership code of conduct that Kenneth Kaunda had. We will not allow a government employee who works at Zamsa, where they procure drugs, owning a pharmacy where they are pilfering drugs into their pharmacy. It will be criminal. So this leadership code of conduct to stop nonsense. Then the corruption fight will be real, because it will not be sitting below the executive, being funded by the executive and looking away when it should be investigating. So these structural changes that we are proposing as the OPP, and by the way, we are the only ones proposing this, starts putting the best people in front to lead us, starts implementing the policies properly, start looking at the priorities government should be doing correctly. And that's what is going to deliver the Zambia that we are speaking about, the 4 million jobs, ending poverty, ending unemployment, modernizing the country so that we have a first world country in our lifetime.
Interesting. One of the things I've always wondered, Dr. Mushimba, is maybe you can help me with this one, since you served in cabinet. How are the toll gates collections accounted for? Under which department do they fall? Because I've always been curious. We are never told that this much was collected from the toll gates.
I know, and you know, the justification of the toll gates was, you know, part of the reason why I didn't vehemently object the borrowing that happened under PF, the 10 billion that was borrowed in the 10 years that PF was in power. The reason I didn't object to that borrowing even when I served as a cabinet minister, was because of the justification that went behind that. The justification was we need infrastructure. Infrastructure opens up the country. When the country is open, commerce is made efficient, goods and services move, economic activities increase, government will collect more taxes, will pay for these debts. And roads were constructed and tolls put on roads. Part of that money, if not all of it, should actually go to paying back the loans for those roads.
Exactly.
So again, when you have government making decisions that we all question, especially when you sit out here, because the decisions are not making sense, you are at liberty to question these things, because for lack of better words, it's misappropriation, because those tolls should go in a fund that pays back the loans that built those loans.
We have a challenge, and you've lived in the diaspora. One of the things that people in the diaspora, there is this thing about not just diaspora people, Zambians in general, 22 million plus nationals. Why does our country have this culture of preferring foreigners over its own citizens? I ask that question because in your manifesto, you clearly state that your party is committed to empowering the citizen ownership of the economy rather than foreign. But right now, I may not even have an accurate percentage of how much Zambia's economy is driven by foreign investors. So what is OPP's position on empowering Zambians? It also goes to your, I'm okay, go answer the question.
So OPP, our manifesto is anchored on a 4-letter word called Lego. And Lego. I'll explain it, yes. L stands for leadership. I was speaking about the type of leadership we want to advance. It's a God-fearing, professionals, track record, leadership code of conduct, appointed on merit, and given all the room to do their professional work. You come to E is economy. We spoke about 4 million jobs. We need those 4 million jobs because when people are working, the economy takes off. Yes. And we'll come back to that as we continue conversating. G is good governance. We've spoken about a governing system that is not working for everyone. We have seen weaponization of laws by successive governments. The UPND are doing it. We have seen laws that are created to target people. Seditious laws, hate speech laws that UPND is implementing now. They're only implementing it on the people that don't belong to UPND. We've seen the police being unleashed on people. Those things speak to we're failing to govern ourselves as a people, and we have one group of people that are benefiting at a time. We want to dismantle all that. We want good government where justice is fair, where the rule of law is fair, where the police are professional, where citizens' freedoms are expanded. The O, which is the last letter of Lego, is ownership, and you spoke to this. We have recognized that there is no way we end extreme poverty. There's no way we prosper ourselves as a nation if the economy continues to be in the hands of foreigners. Our economy, you're right, is in the hands of foreigners. It happened during privatization. When MMD privatized our economy, it was a mistake. The mistake was you don't privatize your economy when your citizens don't have capital to participate in that privatization. And that's what happened. We didn't have the capital to participate. So the foreigners that had money, they came and bought these companies at just pennies over on a dollar. And then they shut many of them down, moved manufacturing into South Africa, for example, and there was unemployment and joblessness that was created. We've never recovered from that. And we are saying, as the OPP, we will start a process to take over the economy and give it to the citizens. We will do it over a period of time by government, for the first time since Kenneth Kaunda days, re-entering back into strategic sectors of the economy and leading in creating industries. The government will do this with the citizens, with the people. And then over time X, capacitate people, empower people, build all the necessary infrastructure, and build your citizens so that they can take over the economy. That is the only way we're going to have the wealth. That is the only way we're going to end poverty. That's the only way we lift our people out of poverty, like China did, like Singapore did.
Okay. You know, before we take a break, you made a comment and a lot of people are responding or reacting to it. There's only one continuity that our governments do, all the political parties. It's the weaponization of the police force. Every government, from Kaunda to where we are today. Okay, let's take a break and we'll come back and continue our conversation with Dr. Mushimba.
Experience the sights, sound, flavors, and spirit of Zambia at Taste of Zambia Cultural Night 2026. Join us for an unforgettable evening featuring authentic Zambian cuisine, vibrant cultural performances, and an elegant cocktail hour with a curated South African wine tasting. Be inspired by engaging panel discussions with leaders from diplomacy, business, education and healthcare, as we explore opportunities to strengthen connections between Zambia and the United States. We are proud to recognize our premium sponsor, Alpha 01 Medical Consultants, and our gold sponsor, Kennesaw State University, along with our many valued sponsors and community partners for helping make this event possible. Mark your calendar for Saturday, the 12th of September 2026, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the 3120 Event Center, 3120 Crossing Park, Northwest, Norcross, Georgia. Tickets are on sale now. Reserve your seat today. We can't wait to celebrate with you at Taste of Zambia Cultural Night.
My guest today is Dr. Brian Mushimba. He's the party president for Organized People's Party and is one of the presidential candidates in the upcoming general elections in 20 days. 20 days, Dr. Mushimba, where people will be casting votes, and that's what is going to be happening in Zambia. So, when we talked about the tolls, this is what my sister Mulenga is saying. So, in short, we don't know where the money goes from the tolls. Is that right? Simply put, we don't know.
Well, I think we know government. You know, government collects money. Government has what is called Control 99. So every government revenue goes into Control 99. And when it goes there, then government prioritizes what to spend and how it spends. So that is part of the mistake in some of these implementation, because when you get the money for the tolls into Control 99, to get it out to maintain a road becomes a challenge, especially if government is fighting other emergencies.
Okay. Our next discussion is healthcare, and instead of me asking the question that I have, let me just go to what do you call it? She's asking these questions because she's in the healthcare system. I think you know Mulenga, don't you?
Yes. So improving healthcare so that we are not sending people abroad.
Pushing you. Pardon? Say that again.
So how do we improve healthcare so we're not shipping our people abroad?
Yes.
It's a very important question, and especially now when we have thousands and thousands of doctors that are unemployed. While
we have doctors unemployed in Zambia.
Thousands.
Wow.
There's been like 3 or 4 graduations that have not been employed.
But we brag about all these hospitals that were built. It doesn't add up, Mushimba.
It does not. And I was telling someone that we have taken 40 million kwacha per year out of the budget into CDF, Constitutional Development Fund. And I have no problem with CDF, especially how it's supposed to function. We've put 40 million in there, almost 40 times more than when I was MP, when it was 1.6 million, without the corresponding improvement, enhancement, and modernization of infrastructure to handle that money. What people are doing now with that money is creating cooperatives, political cadres, creating cooperatives, accessing that money in millions of kwacha every time is disbursed. They put in their pockets and they go home. They wait for the next year to get more money like that. That's what's been happening over the last 5 years. If we just took 5 million kwacha from there per constituency and we put it in the district health provision space, they would mop up all the doctors, nurses, and health professionals that are currently unemployed. They would buy all the drugs they need per district. We don't prioritize the right things. That's why we find ourselves here. The first thing that we would do as the OPP in terms of cleaning up the healthcare is to make sure that we have equipment, we have drugs, we have doctors and nurses and all other professionals we need around this space. There are lots of universities and other institutions that are churning out these professionals. We need to continue that. We need to also increase their specialization so that we stop sending people abroad. We need drug procurement under ZAMSA to move away from central procurement in Lusaka to be decentralized across districts. You know what that does is it eliminates a single point of failure, which is happening now. When ZAMSA fails in Lusaka, all districts are impacted. When we decentralize and move resources to districts, each district to procure the drugs each district needs. We will even eliminate wastage because right now, ZAMSA buys drugs, for example, for Chifunabuli, and they buy heart medication when Chifunabuli doesn't need heart medication because they buy globally and they don't have a mechanism to essentially understand all the needs of each district and only buy what the district needs. Yeah. So if we did that, wastage is eliminated, drugs not be expiring because consumption will be there because districts have a record of what drugs those districts need. And if it's controlled there and a district fails, only that district fails in that procurement. The other districts are not impacted. So service provision doesn't serve.
So basically from what you're saying, it all ties in to the governance system that you addressed earlier.
Correct.
They are tied together.
Correct.
Because you can't have a person like Roger has argued this argument from time immemorial, my friend Roger. You know Roger.
Yeah, I know him, yes.
About Lusaka running things. There is no way that Lusaka can be ordering Mushimba medicine for Chinsali District Hospital.
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense.
It's not working. It's not working.
NEMA is not working right now because there are 1.2 million workers that contribute to NEMA. NEMA is saving all citizens. So it's overburdened. From the 1.2 million
from the resources of the 1.2 million. Yeah.
It's overburdened. So we've proposed as the OPP another initiative outside NEMA. First, we'll stand up NEMA. It's a good initiative. We need those people that are working to contribute to this and for them to access it. We need government to guarantee it so that when there are shortfalls and gaps, government is in the business of ensuring a certain standard of living for its citizens.
Exactly.
It means it guarantees everything. When NEMA is not working, government should step in. It can't be hands off. So NEMA needs to work. Those contributing to it needs to benefit from it. Those citizens that are not contributing to it should go to a community-based scheme The community-based scheme, we did a study in Ndola. Just 100 kwacha per household per month generated $600,000 per month in Ndola district. $600,000 a month for Ndola district will cater to all health needs of Ndola. And it's only 100 kwacha per household. Household may have 10 people. It's just 100 kwacha contribution. Now, government also can guarantee that. Now, government is working with the citizens. Citizens are putting in a little bit, government is guaranteeing the rest. Equipment will be bought, professionals will be trained, medicines will be there, and we will stop sending our people abroad for treatment, like we're doing now.
Molenga's question is a two-part question. That's why I've kept it here. The second part, I'm sure you can read. How are you going to hold unprofessional healthcare workers accountable? The way
I think I spoke to training. Some of the issues that we've seen in the healthcare industry, it could be lack of training and exposure and capacity building. We need to have continuous training in some of these institutions. We also need to hold them to account to the point that if someone does something egregious, they are held to full extent of the law, including stripping them of the right to provide service ever. And can you imagine if I'm a doctor and my license is taken away, my life is shattered. So there has to be enough penalty for people to wake up and do the right things. And government has to lead in speaking to these things and create transparency in how you're tracking performance, how you're tracking issues that are coming from those that may be mismanaging their spaces and doing the wrong things.
So let's go back to this question again. I mean, why are the doctors, nurses, okay, they hired, I don't know how many thousands of nurses. Why do we still have doctors who are unemployed and yet there are hospitals without doctors? Where's the disconnect?
It's a big disconnect, and government says they don't have money to hire these doctors. So there's a lot of them out there. In fact, my campaign has benefited from a lot of them. I have 30 of them, unemployed doctors for the last 4 years plus, that are working for us, doing data analysis and many other things. You know, they're professionals, they're trained, they're doctors, they're scientists. You know, so we found a system where we hired 30 of them, and they're working with us, for us, and we're paying them. And for 4 years, they have been unemployed, sitting at home. So government says they don't have money, but they're allowing money through CDF to be taken by political cadres. That, to me, does not add up. So the priorities of government are misplaced, and that's why we're having some of these challenges. And we are proposing, as OPP, to change the priorities of government, to advance the right people with the right professionals, the right track record, to put them in spaces where they make decisions that are important. Do you know how critical putting right people in offices is, my host? I'll give an example of the load shedding that we just concluded. We haven't concluded, temporarily concluded, because since electioneering started, load shedding has evaporated largely across the country. But this problem is still with us. If you think it has ended, then maybe I have a bridge to sell you. The load shedding is with us. Now, the point I'm trying to make is allowing professionals to do their work.
Okay.
In the energy space, in the electricity space, there's a document called the Integrated Resource Planning. What that document does, which is a collection of experts, the Ministry of Energy, ZESCO, and many other stakeholders, including other partners outside the country, because energy is a commodity that is exchanged in the region. So there's interest from everyone. There's this document which lays out the landscape for the next 25 years, next 50 years, in terms of the energy needs and what we should be doing today to make sure that in 25 years we don't have load shedding. That document is a Bible in energy development. Now, You bring into that space, which is very specialized and very technical, such as energy and electricity generation, you bring in cadres, political cadres, that's your point, that don't have any business being there. And we've spoken about professionalizing civil service. And I know you're going to ask me about that. Now you bring in cadres, and cadres start making convenient decisions. When UPND came in power in 2021, there was a project of interconnecting Zambia to East African electricity market because there was stranded power in East Africa that needed to flow in Zambia in case we had challenges like we did with a drought. When the drought happened, and if that project had not been cancelled when UPND came in power, the cancellation was a wrong decision made by non-engineers making an engineering decision. If they had not cancelled that, when load shedding started, that interconnector would have been flowing excess electricity out of East Africa into Zambia. We would not have had the 3, 4, 5 days, 1 week of no power that people suffered. Businesses shut down. Life has been disrupted. We all are suffering from some type of mental issues that were created because of the 4.5 years of not having electricity. When you allow professionals to make professional decisions that they are trained to make, we avoid some of these problems. And I just demonstrated with load shedding, if we had just not cancelled that project, 2,000 megawatts of stranded power in Tanzania would have flowed into Zambia. We had a deficit of 1,500 megawatts at the peak. That 2,000 would have quenched that gap. Who cancelled that project? Why cancel that project when it's part of the integrated resource planning? It's someone who didn't understand the consequences of that decision. We need leaders that understand fully the consequences of their decisions because they are trained to understand. They are professionals. And we want to professionalize civil service to that level. We are radical about this, by the way, including when we form government to literally fire every government employee and start the process of recruiting transparently without any issues, including using very advanced tools to identify and match skills and what government needs so that we can, for once, have a professional civil service that's delinked from politics and as security of tenure, it can make professional decisions while politics are played here and they don't mix and match.
That has been the dream of many Zambians, Dr. Mushimba, to see professionalism in what we do. But it looks like it doesn't happen. Immediately, anybody goes into government, they just start putting in their relatives, party cadres, as you may call them. How attainable is that? You fire everybody, and who's going to do the recruiting?
So the reason why we find ourselves, I spoke about the poverty of leadership. We have literally suffered from the poverty of leadership. And that poverty of leadership has bred what we have now. The poverty in communities, the civil service that's moribund, the police service that is unprofessional, and you can go on and on and on and on. So what we are advancing for a change is asking citizens that don't just elect leaders, but those people that you want to elect. Look into them. What is in them? What training have they had? What experiences have they had? What have they done with those experiences? What impact have they made wherever they've been? You can't just elect someone to be in charge of 22 million people and a very complex job such as the president's when their best job was to open a company and win a tender in government, and that's all they've done. They've not supervised anyone more than maybe 5 people. And now you put them to be a president to run a country. The results are what we see today. We are advancing a narrative that being president is a serious job. We need serious people that have a track record, that have worked. I would not be advancing myself if I looked in the mirror and knew that I didn't have what it took. I have 25 years of impeccable engineering experience globally at an international stage, including and 2 weeks ago, I was actually recognized at the House of Lords in London for my engineering expertise and experience developing energy ecosystems across Africa and globally. It's a track record there. You've designed and built things, 10,000 megawatts of electricity onto the US national grid when I worked for 10 years there in that space. That is a track record. 5 years as a cabinet minister, full cabinet minister, without any scandal. I've never been caught by the ACC, by DEC, by the police over any decision I made when I was a cabinet minister. My colleagues can't say that. We need leaders that are serious. When you appoint and elect leaders that are serious, they will do the heavy lifting for this country. And for once, we'll start seeing this potential we sit on being realized.
That's true. Okay, I'm not done with healthcare. There's another component of healthcare. That there's one question I wanted to ask you, but where did I write it? I think it has slipped my mind. That's why they say
to come back.
It will come back.
Yes.
The issue on healthcare, and not just healthcare, Mushimba. Your manifesto addresses medical research through universities and other institutions. Very critical component. Any developed country you look at, this is a very strong component of that economy. You can talk about the US, Australia, Europe, and all these countries. The Asians don't even mention. How will you navigate the national budget, and won't this lead to increased tuition fees in public universities and higher learning institutions?
See, the way we approach our funding for our initiatives that we have looked through the 280 billion a year budget that we sit on now, that was approved in the last parliament. We've looked through that, and there's lots of waste in there. There's lots of excesses in there. There's money that should be redirected. So we will be lean with the resources that we already have. We will be lean to make sure that we redirect monies. I gave an example about redirecting not long ago. And I'm sorry I keep harping on the 40 million per year CDF, because we had 1.6 million when I was MP, and we struggled to spend that because the infrastructure to spend was just not there. And then you make it 40 times more without improving infrastructure. It's abuse all day long. If that 40 million kwacha per constituency across 156 constituencies was channeled to ZNS, for example, Zambia National Service, Zambia National Service would have bought all the equipment they need across every district. They would undertake every project with the right standard and the right quality and deliver those projects. They are military. They are military precision, military orderliness. There will be no corruption procurement. There will be none of that. But do you know what else? ZNS doesn't have the manpower. They would have gone and mopped up everyone who needs work, our youths that need work. They would have trained them in being bricklayers, plumbers, surveyors, general workers. They would have put them in uniform, given them military training, basic military training for orderliness and discipline. And from nowhere, you have projects per constituency being done to the standard. The 1x3 classroom blocks, the hospital being upgraded, ZNS doing it with citizens. Through that is how a government that looks at unemployment and tries to fix it can fix it. Priorities become very important. So the money for our health research, we have proposed in our manifesto funding agricultural revolution, funding industrialization, funding entertainment and film, art industry, and science and innovation hubs. Science and innovation hubs now extend to medical research. We have provided for all of these through making sure that our budget is efficient, eliminate waste, redirect resources, Minerals Revenue Authority, make sure that we get what belongs to us from there, and we put that as seed money to make sure that the agricultural revolution to create the raw materials we need and the jobs we need, the industrial revolution to process the raw materials from our agricultural revolution and create the jobs we need, the film industry, art industry, music industry, we need to promote this. We can promote, finance them, enhance them to the point that our films out of Zambia can be watched in America. We can do that. They need to be promoted. Science hubs, innovation hubs, we will design everything that we need to use here in Zambia, right here. We will design medical equipment right here. It requires funding. What Kenneth Kaunda did is trained a lot of us. There's a lot of expertise that exists among Zambians. In fact, when the current president came into office in 2021, I wished him well as I was exiting government job. And I told him that if you fail because you choose to fail. Because unlike Kenneth Kaunda in 1964, who came in when Zambia didn't have experts, you have in front of you 20 million citizens and a good number of them that are experts in almost every field and every sector of what government does. Just open your heart, open your eyes, see all citizens, bring them in, put professionals and experts in all the corners where they need to be, and you'll not fail. And he didn't do that.
He's going to argue, and his people will tell you, no, he has done what. You see, when you talk about entertainment and arts and all these other areas, that's what I mean. That's what I was implying when I said our focus is too much on mining.
Correct.
Listen to these guys singing, and look at how innovative our kids are, our young people are, the youth, when it comes to social media stuff. Let's push them and do that. We're going to end on a personal note. I'll ask you some personal questions, which a lot of
Not a problem.
Yeah. For me, one of the things when it comes to politics, Dr. Mushimba, is the nation's foreign policy. Okay? And we cannot ignore, or you cannot separate a nation's foreign policy from the president's or presidential candidates' personalities, ideology, and beliefs. What is OPP's foreign policy?
I think our foreign policy, I recently was called by the European Union ambassadors accredited to Zambia.
Okay.
All of them at the EU office. And that's part of the question that they wanted to hear from us. They said, listen, we've listened to you, and you are one of the credible candidates, and we need to understand where your party and this project stands in terms of foreign policy. And for starters, I admire how Kenneth Kaunda handled our foreign policy. We were non-aligned. We made friends. We didn't participate in conflicts. We dealt with the West. We dealt with the East. That, to me, has to continue. We're not going to take sides. The only agenda that Zambia should worry about is an agenda called Zambia. And anyone who comes to the table to discuss with Zambia needs to understand that we have an agenda called Zambia. We want to take care of Zambia, we want to take care of its citizens, we want the economy to be in the hands of citizens, we want the mines to be owned by citizens. If you want to be a partner and a stakeholder, you have to be a stakeholder under our terms. And these are the terms. So our foreign policy is in there to say, we are going to recognize friends, long-standing friends. We're going to make new friends. We will collaborate on many matters of governance, on technology, on transfer of knowledge, and many other things, including hosting some of their foreign investment here in the country. That will be protected. That would be guaranteed. But at the core, the agenda that we have is Zambia. And if you don't prescribe to this agenda called Zambia, then we don't want to deal with you.
Okay. Because you know where the complexity or the complications come in. It's like right now, Iran and America at war. When it comes to Middle East conflicts, okay, when Israel comes into the picture, we chose to call ourselves a Christian nation. So I am a complete, EU does not support Israel, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And then you also come to, when it comes to the economy, are you going to, you find yourself in a situation where China or US, you find yourself where it comes to Russia, and all these things, Mushimba, come into play. And we find ourselves, African people, in Efionamona, I think we do not have principles. We find ourselves not being our principles being really tested when it comes to the foreign policy issue. That's the way I look at it. I don't know how you'd respond to that. It's just me thinking aloud.
So for us, we say it's all anchored on leadership and the type of leadership and what you now design for yourselves to get yourselves out of a situation. Zambia, after 62 years, still has over 60% of us living in poverty with a lot of infrastructure deficiencies and deficits. People are still building houses on top of sewer lines. There is no standard whatsoever. So the next 62 years, we are proposing as the OPP that we reset. We put our country on a different journey. And when we put ourselves on a different journey, we are going to give unto ourselves a development document that says in 25 years, we're going to be a modern society. And this is what we need to be doing today so that in 25 years, we are a first world infrastructured country. That will not divert from that. And we should enshrine that so that everyone, even in civics education, our children will be learning about that we have given unto ourselves this document. It's not political, it's controlled by professionals under some type of think tank, under some type of organization that the government gives onto the people, or the people give unto themselves. What that means is when you have an overarching agreement with your citizens, agreement with yourselves, you pursue that singularly. The reason we are seen to be all over the map is because we have lost our ways and we've become transactional. We need to stop being transactional and come back to say, for Zambia to be what we want it to be in 25 years, we can't compromise on these things, and we hold those things steady. And that's what we're proposing.
Okay, let's conclude this on a personal level. Okay, some personal questions people are asking. I have these questions on my list as well, but not bad. However, the listeners are asking them in a different way. Okay, Brenda says, you were once in the PF government and none of what you are saying was done. So how do you plan on achieving all these things you are talking about?
I spoke to this, Mr. Moderator, Mr. Nkama. I spoke to this, I said, and in fact, my 5 years in government in PF, because PF was in power for 10 years. I was just in there for 5 years. My 5 years in government actually just gave me enough to know what doesn't work, how government works, and how it doesn't work, and where we need to touch when we are now calling for a reset. The 5 years I served as a full cabinet minister, I said I served under delegated authority.
Okay.
Being in government is like being on a bus. You have a driver who's the president, and you are sitting in the middle of the bus or at the back of the bus. You can scream all you want. If the driver wants to go right, they'll go right. If they want to go left, they'll go left. That's how delegated authority functions. There was nothing I did that I was not instructed to do or guided to do. There's a couple of things that were inconsequential, that probably I initiated myself, that would not shake the country. And the president gave me that leeway. Outside that, you are told what to do. You are supervised. You are told this is not your mandate. You are operating under delegated authority. That's why many of the things I'm speaking about, I could not do. It was not my mandate. It was Edgar Lungu's mandate. And Edgar Lungu did what he wanted to do with that mandate. We're asking for our mandate so that we can do these things. We can drive this bus and address the systemic problems and challenges the country faces. For 62 years, we are here without much to show for. The next 62 years, we are saying, let's change how we do things, how we govern ourselves. And the OPP government is the only ticket speaking about this reset in this manner.
Okay. Derek says, the same 5 years that you expect HH to fulfill all his promises, is he saying HH needs another 5 years?
See, ordinarily, you'd not have challenges with people asking for more time. I said this, that when I left government in 2021, I'm probably the only member of that cabinet that wished HH well and the UPND well. And I genuinely meant that. I was in parliament with UPND as an alternative government. Whenever I went to give a ministerial statement, I did my research because I knew UPND in opposition, as an alternative government, they would hammer me on every detail. You had to come correct. Venagarin Kombo, Jackie Mwimbo, Cornelius Mweto, those guys knew their stuff and they kept me, at least, on my toes as a minister. Their campaigns towards 2021 spoke about a lot of things, good things. They spoke against tribalism. They spoke against divisions in the country, regionalism, weaponization of laws against those that are divergent views, the shrinking spaces of democracy, shrinking freedoms, the corruption, the debts. They are the solution for each and every one of these things. And when you start listening to them, as I listened to them towards elections, and when they won, I said, they had a good message. They promise very good things. If they do even half of these things, the country will be better. And I wish them well, because if they won, if they succeeded in doing those things, we all win as citizens. Fast forward to today. Let's talk about the weaponization of laws. Are we better today than we were 5 years ago? Let's talk about tribalism. Are we better today than we were 5 years ago? Let's talk about cadres in offices. Are we better today than we were? Let's talk about divisions. The UPND have squarely continued where PF was. All the bad things people rejected in PF have continued in UPND. And in some instances, they're even worse. People have jumped from a frying pan into fire with the UPND. And we're saying, in fact, the UPND, while in opposition, said, if a government is not working for you, it's your duty to vote that government out. And today I'm challenging every citizen in this country to say, is your life better today under UPND? And if the answer is no, because cost of living is crashing you, because the police are sent after you, because the weaponization of laws and cyber security is after you, the common phrase now is, I have no lawyer. People have been gagged. If your life is not better today, you have a duty on August 13th to go vote UPND out.
All right. No alliance for OPP?
We were part of a lot of discussions around uniting like minds. We couldn't agree on a common minimum program. We are passionate about the constitution being given back to the citizens. We are passionate about devolving powers out of the presidents. We are passionate about professionalizing the civil service. We're passionate about creating jobs, 4 million jobs. We're passionate about these things that if we can't find common ground, then we're not going to be part of that discussion.
The alliances.
Correct.
Okay, all right. 14 candidates, and you're an engineer. I actually looked at this and I said to myself, we've had 2 lawyers as president, we've had a teacher, we've had a unionist. Which one have I left out? 2 lawyers, teacher.
Policeman, starter.
Yeah, and we had a police officer. And, oh, that's a good one. You know, I was saying to myself, what's that? What does Brian Mushimba, the engineer, bring to the table? Number one. Number two, what distinguishes you from the other 13 candidates?
Good question. And I think what distinguishes me are my experiences, my training, my expertise, and the life I've lived. That has prepared me for this moment. You've spoken about all these that I've served. We've never had an engineer serve before. And I think for all intents and purposes, citizens should consider this. In China, they lifted themselves out of poverty when they advanced technical brains, engineers, to superintend over the reconstruction of their country. Zambia is a construction site. You don't send an accountant to manage a construction site. Zambia is a mining state. Mining, by its definition, is a technical field.
Yes.
I'm a mining engineer. You don't send an accountant to clean up your mining so you can get the right revenues out of it. So what I'm advancing is 25 years of internationally recognized engineering expertise at very deep level. That translates leadership of managing multi-billion institutions, institutions that operate across geographies with thousands of employees that I'm responsible for across those geographies and having made profits for those employers.
You served
I'm
the
advancing.
CEO. You served the CEO in is it 2 companies?
Correct.
Yes.
And on top of that, I served as a full cabinet minister for 5 years. I restarted Zambia Airways, and I'm proud of that. I expanded network coverage in this country to over 90%. I found it at 70%. I expanded scholarships and bursaries when I went to Ministry of Higher Education. Evelyn Horn has bursaries today because I signed that when I was minister. These experiences, there's no one who can speak to them at this level and this detail. That's what I'm proposing, because that background then allows you to know where to touch, what to do, and who to do it with. Because running a company as a CEO, you don't know everything. You provide direction, you hire the right minds, you create an environment. The president needs to know where they can work alone, where they need to bring in expertise, and they need to know how to lead, to build a team that delivers results. We need a Zambia that works for everyone. We are too divided. We are too poor. We have sat on potential for 62 years. It's now time to realize that potential and lift citizens out of poverty, guarantee clean water, guarantee food, guarantee energy, guarantee healthcare, and put these things, as OPP has proposed, into our constitution, so that they are rights of citizens, so that if any government does not provide these things, citizens will rise and sue that government.
Would your, under OPP constitution amendment, would you consider an amendment to appoint cabinet ministers away from the parliament?
Yes, yes. In fact, when we speak about getting the best people amongst us, many of those don't want to run as MPs and be parliament to be appointed in cabinet positions. There are many professionals that detest our politics, the way politics are played, because politics have been made dirty by people that want politics to be dirty, to drive people like you away from them. I was at Christian radio the other day, and the host said, "You're a decent man. Why are you doing politics? Politics is dirty." And I said, that's a narrative. There are people that want to keep politics dirty, to keep decent men like me out. And we need to fight them and beat them at the game, so we can reclaim and use politics to develop our country, to unite all of us and make all of us be part of this. So yes, we will make the necessary adjustments to our governance systems to make sure that wherever expertise is found, we bring it in and give it space to do its thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was our show for today. Dr. Brian Mushimba. You see, Brian, I always tell people that people from Mufulira are just special people. Huh?
Yes, I'm from Mufulira. Guilt as charged.
Avenandola bamulenga baleshako, but Mafken twashaina lelo. I wish you the best, my brother, and thank you for taking the time from the busy campaign to come and do this. I greatly appreciate this. Ladies and gentlemen,
thank you for having me.
Yeah, we wish you the best on your campaign, and we hope for the best and everything else. All right, have a good weekend. And
all right.
Everybody, next week, like I said, we are now on cruise control. We'll just be dealing with, we'll be addressing issues to do with our Zambia Decides 2026. Next week, I'll be having, believe it or not, Ms. Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba will be here next weekend with Kambo Lumbila. We are going to, next week is 1st August, so it will be like 12, 13 days before Election Day. So what we are going to do is to try and assess where the candidates are and who are the strong contenders. Thank you, everybody. Let's make this go viral, okay? This is a great conversation, a great communicator. Wouldn't it be nice to have an engineer in State House for a change? Wouldn't it be nice? All right, everybody. Have a good weekend and we'll see you next week.
It's your girl Joyce, popularly known as Rejoice the Portrait Maker. Guess what? I am here to show the surprise, as I said during an interview, so that there is a surprise for Pastor Nathan Nkama that I will be reviewing in just a few days. So here is the portrait that I did for Pastor Nkama and his wife. Look at how beautiful this portrait is looking. And get to be with us as he also do the video with the portrait immediately when he received this portrait. Thank you for watching. It's your girl Joyce, popularly known as Rejoice the Portrait Maker.
Zambia Blog Talk Radio.